Hi, it's Book Chick, and I have a few minutes before I have to head to work, so I thought I would do a video real quick. This is going to be my books that I finished in September. I know it's midway through October, but I just have a lot of homework, and well, you know, there's just not time. Um, but anyway, this is books that I finished in September. If you aren't subscribed to my channel and you're watching this, please, please, please hit subscribe and also hit the little bell icon because then you'll be notified every time I film a video and then you'll hopefully watch more of them. Um, Again, I'm in a different setting than I am in a lot of my videos. I'm in my living room because the lighting is just better. Until I can fix that anyway. But books that I read in September, we will start talking about that now. So the first book that I finished in September was actually Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I went ahead and gave it 5 stars because I felt that the plot was amazing. The characters were really cool. Like she gave them like really intricate backstories, and it was a little bit confusing because she was talking about I think like 6 different characters, probably hence the title, Six of Crows. Um, but yeah, so it was confusing at times, but also like she gave them like amazing backstories, and it really made me like them all that much more. Like one girl is she grew up in the circus and her family, like they were just part of the circus and it was what they did, and she absolutely loved it. And then one day she was like kidnapped by slave traders and they sold her um, to a brothel. So, and this is a young adult fiction. So, if you're a parent and you're thinking about letting your kids read these, think about it. But like, if you're fine with that, then go for it. But this is very dark young adult fiction. As I said, one character was sold into a brothel. Another one was also captured by slave traders, but she was being taken to be prosecuted for just being her. Like she had um, magical powers that allowed her to heal people, stop their hearts, like change um, how they were feeling. Like if you were really upset, she could like kind of take away that pain for a little bit. And so basically, her and a bunch of other people that had different magical powers or gifts, they were being taken away to another country to be prosecuted simply for just being themselves and for having these powers. And this other country was called Fierda. Um, and they saw these people with these powers who are called Grisha as witches and like evil and monstrous, and they just really didn't understand, and they saw them as not human but as less, like kind of how the Germans saw Jews. Very similar mindset. I assume that's what the writer was going for, but overall, like the plot was just awesome. Like throughout the story, we're in different parts of this world that I think it's a she that she created, um, that Leigh created, and they're in Ketterdam, which is it reminds me a lot of like I want to say like Russia, like winter in Russia or like somewhere like that that is just really cold and rainy and gross all the time. And Ketterdam is really cold and bleak. It's like constantly raining while we're there. It is always dark and just gross and cold. And it's just not a great place. But for some reason, everyone wants to go there because it's like supposed to be the land of success. And like you can go there and you can like win a lot of money in the gambling houses, and or like you can go be a performer. So a lot of people really want to go there and make a name for themselves as like merchants or like just gamble and like luck out and win a bunch of money. Um, but we're following 6 members of a gang who are given the task of setting someone free from Fierda, who that is where they were going to take that Grisha girl, Nina. to be prosecuted and murdered. Um, but now they're tasked with freeing someone from there who has discovered this terrible drug. Um, Normally, it's not a huge deal. Like, it just gives you like a slight high, like you feel good, kind of like tobacco would. Um, but this scientist has figured out how to make it basically like heroin. And if given to a Grisha, one of those people with powers, they can do things that they could never do before. Like, there are some Grisha who can, like, I don't know how to explain it. They can like alter things so that they're like not that thing anymore, but they, if they're given this drug, suddenly they can walk through walls. Um, they can, like, some of them can fly now, like, and that's not supposed, they're not supposed to be able to do that. Like, normally they can control the weather fairly well. Like, they can make it rain or they can make it sunny. Um, if they're really upset, they might be able to make a storm, but suddenly they can fly because they can control the air currents, I guess. So that's really freaky. But basically, they're given this task of going and setting this guy free. They're promised a whole bunch of money, and so of course they do it. And throughout the mission, they're kind of all having this inner struggle of like, if I get to him, should I kill him so that this drug cannot be created anymore, and so that he can, like, people cannot have this power over anyone anymore, or like, do I give him to this man who has promised so much money for him? Because, and like knowing that, like, pretty much beyond a doubt that that guy who promised this money for them setting him free, he is going to use this guy's knowledge for evil. So they're struggling with that the whole time, and it's just so good, and it's almost too complex to explain. So I don't think I'm gonna try anymore. Just like read it because it's really good, and it is really dark, but like I loved it at the same time. I love that it was so real. Like, the writer, really created a world very similar to our own, but with like some twists that made it even more interesting, like giving people powers and stuff. But really use like a lot of like real world stuff, like the brothels and the gambling houses and gambling problems and drinking problems and being an orphan and growing up on the streets and um, drugs and all that stuff that like we see now on the news and everything. So, but if you don't like that, if that's not your cup of tea, then you don't have to read it. Like, that is your choice. But I loved it because it was so real. But I'll admit, it being so dark, it was a little hard to get through. The next book that I read in September was the Hazelwood by Melissa Albert. So the Hazelwood is, we follow Alice, who is like kind of the angsty teen, she's kind of punk, and she's lived a hard life. She and her mom have always been on the run. She doesn't really know why. Her mom just always says they're outrunning bad luck. Seems familiar, right? But they're always outrunning this bad luck, and it always seems to catch up to them. She is convinced that it's chasing her mom. Um, this is Alvin. He is a greyhound. He's a big boy. Um, but yes, so it's always chasing them, and then like within the first chapter, I think you find out that um, Alice's grandmother wrote a famous set of fairy tales. Like, she wrote them herself, and fans always say that they're so good because she went there. She went to the hinterland, which is where a lot of all of these fairy tales take place, and that's why they're so good. They are not your normal everyday the princess kisses the frog and he turns into a prince. Fairy tales, they are dark and they are twisted and they are gruesome. It's a good word to explain it. So this is a good book to start off spooky season. Um, but it was creepy. Not so much that I didn't stop reading it, but it was really good. Um, so throughout the book, basically we're following Alice and we're following her mom. Then all of a sudden, her mom just disappears, and she's completely convinced that this bad luck has been the hinterland chasing them, and not just bad luck. And she's convinced that the hinterland has taken her mother away. And the only way to get her back is to find the hinterland and demand them get back her mom. Um, right? And so she befriends this guy from school, and they start to try to figure out like where her mom was taken and like how to get her back. And like the whole time they're trying to outrun the hinterland because they don't. She assumes it's because they don't want her to get her mom back, but the more you read, the more you realize that's not the case. And they've also always been chased by like these super fans, like those crazy fans who will do anything just to meet their like idol. So they've always been chased by those kind of people, and Alice starts to get annoyed with Ellery, who's the guy that's helping her try to find her mom and get her back. She's getting annoyed with him because he turns out to be like one of those super fans. And so she's like, "Okay, are you really helping me because you're a nice person, or are you helping me because you want to meet my grandmother, who I told you has been dead for like some time now?" And but he like still, it's almost, he can't get enough. Like it, whatever this book is that she wrote, it's like they can't get enough. It's like a drug and they just want more. And um I can't say any more without spoiling it, but it is really, really good and you should totally read it. We find out that Alice is someone very different from who she thought she was her entire life. And it's just really good. Like, if you like really dark, creepy fantasies, or maybe the princess is the hero or the princess is the bad guy or girl, you will like this book. And I found out that this writer, Melissa Albert, I think it's Melissa Albert. Let me check. Yes, Melissa Albert has written a couple of other books, and I want to get my hands on them. Also, I will leave the cover above because I listened to it instead of like read a hard copy. But the cover is gorgeous, and it kind of reminds me of like the artwork on the Starless Sea and like some other books that I've seen recently. But the artwork on the cover is just beautiful, and it kind of gives you some hints about what happens, like the mansion where her grandmother lived, and which is also incredibly creepy. And like the whole time they're convinced that they have to go there, that that's where the hinterland has taken her mom. So the whole story is trying to get there. It's just, you have to read it, please. So that is all. Please hit like and subscribe. I would really, really appreciate it. Have a lovely day.